In this video, we're going to talk about why you should go with good enough and why done is better than perfect. What's going on, guys? I'm Tim Ruswick, and once again today we are making a video on something that I really feel strongly about. And this is really something that I think has impacted the way that I build games in a lot of different ways, and it's impacted the game. It's impacted a lot of areas of my life, whether it's with my writing, with my music development, with my software, anything. And I think this idea is really critical if you are a solo developer or solo artist making anything. And the concept is simple, that done is better than perfect, that you should go with good enough. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, good enough to me is at 90%. That's when I like to move. When something is 90% perfect, that's when I like to move. Because guess what? You can never reach perfect. Despite what you think, there is no actual perfect. So when you think it's 90%, 80 to 90%, that's when I would leave it alone and move on to something else. Because I found that with my game development, I can spend so much time tweaking endlessly, and then I can tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak. And then there's sometimes where I'll tweak for an hour and then I'll reset all of my changes for the last hour. And I'll just say, fuck it. Let's go back to how it was. There's so many times that's happened to me, especially with numbers and variables and stuff like that. It's so easy to just tweak and tweak and tweak and get lost in the tweak cycle forever and ever and ever. And I found that keeping a conscious reminder in my head that I need to move at 90%, that going with good enough is good enough. And it's really helped me detach in a way from holding on to some of the things that I just obsess over, there's so many things where I obsess over them, obsess over them, and realize I should just move on and build the whole experience of the game and then iterate onwards. And this has been my lesson for a couple months to you guys now, right? But that doesn't mean I'm over it. I still struggle with it myself. It's a constant struggle. I have to remind myself. I have a little sticky note on my wall that just says go with good enough, because I have to keep that in my mind. Now, there are going to be people that say, what do you mean, Tim? Done is better than perfect, go with good enough. Are you saying make a shitty game? Are you saying No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying go with good enough means you shouldn't strive to make the best game that you can, right? But you got to understand that things will never be perfect. And if you don't move on at some point, you're not going to get all the other critical systems for the game done in time, or you're going to end up in this time loop where you just build the game forever and ever and ever, and it keeps expanding as you build it. And I know far too many developers that have fallen victim to this. I know far too many beautiful, amazing indie games that did not get made or released because the developer fell into this trap. And my mission with Game Dev Underground is really to level up games. I want more creators to release more games, because I think it makes the world a better place with more indie games. And for me, when I see these games go unfinished or unreleased, it hurts me, because I know that is someone's passion project. I know it's their work of art. I know it's a representative of a piece of their soul, and it just gets buried for eternity. We never get to see that ever. And it just hurts me. It really does, because I know how much effort and how much time and how much blood, sweat, and tears we pour into these things that we call games. And I don't want to see developers lose out and miss that beautiful opportunity of seeing something that you created enter the world. And that's why I think this is so relevant, because if you don't learn to understand the intricacies of getting things done, it can be very damaging to your release, to your self-esteem even. When you get something done, it's kind of like the build to ship concept, right? Building to ship is such a great concept, because when you build things specifically to ship, I think it changes the way that your brain works, right? You don't obsess over all these little details. You don't try and tweak things endlessly. And the goal is to actually get it out there. And I think a lot of artists aim to create. They don't aim to ship. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think a lot of people don't realize what they're missing by building to create rather than building to ship. Because art, when you make it on your own, I think is cool. Art, when you're able to share it with other people, I think is fantastic. It's amazing. Like, there is no better feeling than watching someone play my game, having a blast. Like, that is, like, it brings on so many different emotions, because it's just like, I created this and I'm bringing joy to someone's life. And if without getting things out there, you never get to receive that feeling. You never get to see that happen. And I think it's really important to just keep in mind that what's really important to you. And for me, it's always been getting things out there. That's why I've gotten where I've gotten in my life. That's why I was able to do some of the things that I've done, because I was able to finish things, even if things weren't perfect, even if they sucked, to be honest. And a lot of them did. Even if they were just super shitty, and I got them together enough. I built the basic experience enough to push it out there, and then I can always iterate it on later. You can always improve it later. You can always add on to it. You can always do that stuff, because done is better than perfect. And you should always go with good enough. That is just my message from an over-obsessive brain that likes to tweak things way more than I should. So I'm going to stop rambling for today. But if you've got any comments on this, I'd love to hear from you. Once again, I'm Tim Ruswick. I'll see you guys in the next video.